Hi, welcome to Fertility Talks. I'm Mary Wong, and I'm the founder of Alive Holistic Health Clinic, author of the best-selling book, Pathways to Pregnancy, acupuncturist and fertility strategist. And today we are so super thrilled, even though with technical difficulty, we are still going live completely on a different Facebook page, but that's okay. We're going to upload it to where it needs to go right after. And we have together, we are talking about DIY superfoods sprouting for your fertility. And so I'm so super excited to have you here, Tanya. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm very glad. Springtime always gives me lots of energy, and I love talking about food. So here we go.
Yeah, I know. And so before we do so, let's just give you a formal introduction. So I'm also lucky because Tanya Smith is part of our Alive team. She's been practicing TCM for the past 16 years with a focus in the area of women's health, fertility, and pregnancy. And having endured her own fertility struggles, Tanya's approach with her care and compassion, with a deep appreciation for the difficulties of this journey. So as a part of her pursuit for better understanding to help her clients with fertility challenges, Tanya studied nutrition and is a certified culinary nutrition expert. So she's got a lot to say about this. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the culinary nutrition program is that it takes all of the nutrition information, either that I learned in Chinese medicine school or that I learned through this school, and actually helps me to figure out how to take that high level thinking about vitamins and minerals and all of the fiber and things that are in food, and helps to actually make it food on the plate. So excellent, we learned about recipe development, about food combining, and so it's actually a really fun way to start to interact with nutrition. It feels a little bit more exciting and a little bit more engaging than just like, okay, you need to make sure you get these things in your body in order for it to work. And it helps me to think about the Chinese medicine energetics of everything too. So
exactly. And that's exactly where I want to go, because it's like, let's tie this into Chinese medicine, because that's what we do. And, we don't separate out food and Chinese medicine. It's part of the same deal. So
yeah.
And you're in your kitchen right now. So let's get started. Like, what are you doing? Are you showing us something? What's happening?
So sprouting is super easy to do. So there's not a lot of steps to it. So I'm going to tell you how to make your own sprouts. And this is you can grow sprouts any time of year. The thing that I like about them is if you're hankering to get some gardening into your life, this is a really, really easy way to start. So all you need are some seeds. There's a company that's been doing sprouting seeds for a long, long time called Sprouts. That's what they're called. Lots of M's and then
I love it.
Yep. And you can get all sorts of different kind of sprouts with them. There's alfalfa, which are not my favorite. There's broccoli. You can do sunflower sprouts. You can do radish sprouts, and the list goes on. Most health food stores will have their brand of sprouts. So if that's where you're looking, or for sure, you can order them online.
Oh, cool.
So what you do, I didn't bring them over. I'm going to just go over here for a second. I'll keep talking.
Yep.
So I ordered my sprouting seeds from VT when I ordered my garden seeds, because I'm lucky enough to have space to garden. So these are my broccoli sprouts. I got a big pack. And I also got a mixed one called Sandwich Booster. So they come just as seeds. So I could potentially grow some broccoli in my garden with these, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to sprout them instead. So that's what the broccoli seeds look like. They kind of look like kale. Same idea, tiny little dark seeds.
Okay.
And you put about a tablespoon in a mason jar and put some water about up to here. So these ones I started yesterday. So just the sprouts, seeds are in the bottom. Fill it up, let it soak for about 8 hours. Then I have a little strainer, fancy strainer on top of here. You can use any kind of cloth, cheesecloth. What else could you use? Anything that's basically going to hold the seeds in the jar and let the water out.
Okay, so when you say fill up, like you literally fill it all the way to the top?
No, I just filled it about halfway. and just
Okay.
let them soak for 8 hours. So they just need to be under the water.
Okay.
Tip it upside down after 8 hours. Let the water drain out, but the seeds stay inside. And so I started these ones yesterday, and you can kind of see they're starting to sprout there. So those little yellow bits is the seeds starting to open and
Oh, right.
some
Okay.
new life starting to come out.
Right,
And
right.
so it'll take about 5 days for the sprouts to be ready. So this is day one. And so all I do in the morning, I fill it back up with water, swirl it around, drain the water out. And I leave it upside down during the day so that the water can continue to drain. And ideally the sprouts will stay on the jar. So they're moist, but they're not wet. So if the
Oh,
sprouts stay too wet, you can get in trouble with mold and stuff like that, which will ruin your sprouts, make them taste bad, but also is not good for you.
no. So then, okay, so the second time around, when you put the water in, you immediately start straining.
Yes.
So it's not like
All
there's
you do
any
is
kind
want
of
to wet
soaking.
them. No,
Okay.
just the first time, just to start to get them to start to come out. And then twice a day after that. So I do it in the morning, I do it in the evening before I go to bed, rinse them, make sure they're moist. And then I just keep them in a bowl like this to hold it
Oh,
upside
got it.
down
Right,
on a
right,
bit of an
right.
angle.
And so those mason jars, I mean, some people will buy like spaghetti sauce and they have mason jars. That's would work. And
For
but
sure.
where did you get the actual strainer lid? Is that a
I don't
specialty store?
remember.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
sure. I've had it for years. I used to do cheesecloth. That was the first thing I did. And then I got
Okay.
kind of more of like a screen strainer. And then I would just put that on with an elastic band or a ring. Lots of ways. All you have
Right.
to do is hold it on. So
Oh, right.
if that doesn't work for you, you can always buy sprouts at the store. So these are sunflower sprouts, and they are delicious. These ones I've never been able to grow. Some sprouts you need to grow in dirt, and sunflower sprouts and wheatgrass are the ones you need to grow in dirt. The rest you can grow in the jar, just like I showed you. But if you put
Cool.
sunflowers in the jar, they won't work.
And so all of them, the ones that are sprouting in the jar, they're going to be done and ready to be eaten in like 5 days?
5 to 7 days. Yeah, they're
5 to
really
7
quick.
days.
It's amazing. And you can just kind of get a real sense of like the life force that's inside them, because they just go whoosh and they start to grow so quickly.
And
And if you want them to turn green during the last couple of days as they sprout, once you're getting kind of long stems, you just put them in on your windowsill so they get a little bit of sunlight, and then you get the benefit of the chlorophyll as well.
absolutely. Okay. So then it doesn't matter what temperature it's in. So meaning like, well, I wouldn't want to put it in the fridge, but like on the counter or on the windowsill in front of the light is totally great.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then how about, so on day 2, you're doing that. So every day you're doing the same thing where you put the water in and then you stick it upside down?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super
Okay.
simple.
All
Yeah,
right.
there
That's
are
awesome.
special sprouting devices you can get, but if you're just starting, you want to try it out, see how you like it, this is a really easy way to do it.
Okay, now in terms of nutrition, and in Chinese medicine, we're talking about vital essence, and then
Yes,
nourishment from that. It helps us sprout a baby.
exactly, exactly.
So how would you eat them? Tell everybody.
Oh, I put sprouts on everything. So depends on sort of your constitution a little bit. So it is a raw food. And so if you kind of have a cooler system, too much raw food is not going to be great. So you could add this on top of a soup or a stew. You could add it on top of a stir fry if you're doing more cooked food. If you're sort of on the warmer side, you need to cool down your system a little bit and are having more salads and raw food, really easy to just put it on your salad. I will often have sprouts as a side with my eggs in the morning. If you're having any sort of a sandwich, they're really easy to add into that. But yeah, like you can add it to at least 2 meals a day very easily. And they taste,
Awesome.
they don't have a very strong flavor, depends on which ones you get. So they kind of blend really easily. Kind of like, yeah. Really
Okay,
easy.
so then I'm just going to add this piece in because,
Yeah.
when people are seeing Chinese medicine practitioners, oftentimes it's like, don't eat anything raw. So, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the truth of what gets said. And so people will go home and interpret it and reinterpret it and do whatever they need to do. So let's be clear about this, right? With the sprouts, because the action of the sprout is better raw.
Yes. If you
However,
cook a sprout, it will lose most of its
right.
benefits. Most of the vitamins and minerals would be cooked out.
But when you're taking it on top of the warm food, where it just,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you're really cooking it, you're just wilting it away so that, well, it gets warmed up. It's not
Mm-hmm.
cooked, right? So that should
Yeah,
be totally fine, no?
totally fine. And it's what we're trying to avoid when we say don't eat raw food is we're trying to avoid your digestive system having to warm up your entire meal before it can start to assimilate it. So if your digestion is weak or your system is sluggish in any way, using that energy to warm up your food is using energy that you could be using for something else. And so it's better and easier on your system if you take in warm foods. But that doesn't mean that all of the aspects of your meal need to be warmed. What it means is that overall, the food needs to be warm enough so your body's not having to do a bunch of work to warm it up. So
Exactly.
for sure, you could even have them on the side. If you like the crunch of them, have some stew, put in your sprouts, and it's still going to be a warming meal.
Okay, so then another question here. So lots of people love smoothies, right? And I don't know if you make smoothies at home, but are people putting sprouts in their smoothies?
It'd be very easy to. Their flavor is not strong. It would be absolutely a fine thing to do, and add all of that vitamin, mineral, nutrition to your smoothie. Still tastes great.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you. I
yeah,
think that was like pure and simple. So, oh, actually, one last question.
yeah.
So name the different sprouts that there are and, where are we buying them?
Of course. So many kinds of food are sprouted and will have this benefit. So what happens when you start to sprout a food is the nutrients go from a dormant state. So if you leave the sprouts, they won't rot, they won't go bad, or sorry, not the sprouts, the seeds, just like sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, as well as broccoli seeds, alfalfa seeds. They'll just stay a seed until you start to sprout it, until it encounters water or the right environment to start sprouting. And so all of that potential nutrition that's going to help the plant grow in the early days is all in there. And so what happens when you start the sprouting process, it transforms that nutrition from something in its dormant state to something in its active state. So it's much easier for your body to digest and assimilate it when it's already kind of activated. So there's lots of different kinds of foods that are available in a sprouted form now that are easier for your body to digest and assimilate because they've done this transformation from potential energy into active energy. And so it's easier for our bodies to digest it. So there are sprouted, sometimes people have trouble with beans and legumes. There's all sorts of, songs and stories about how they cause flatulence. And so there are beans and legumes that are available. So they start the sprouting process and then they dry them again. So they're still available in a dried form and they'll last on your shelf. When you want to cook them, they're already sprouted. And so they have the benefit of that. So you can get beans and legumes that way. You can get bread that's made from sprouted wheat. It's very easy to find. And the wheat has undergone this sprouting process before it's ground and then cooked. So you do lose some of the vitamin mineral content because it's baked, but you still get this easier to digest, easier to assimilate the benefits of the sprout from the bread. So those are, you can get it in most grocery stores. The sprouts that are available like this, there's a couple of, I'm in Toronto, I think you are too. There's a couple of local companies that make sprouts. You can get sprouted salads, you can get sprouted just single sprouts like this to add on to any of your food. So there's really, what else was I going to say about? I have notes over here.
Then how about, we'd look at the clean 15, dirty dozen. So does that fall in that category? Do we have to have organic sprouts?
I think that because it's a seed, everything that happened to its parent, just like the eggs and sperm that we make, everything that happened to the parent is going to be sort of concentrated into the seed. in a way. So I think it's actually very worthwhile, and it's really inexpensive to buy sprouting seeds anyways. Very worthwhile to get organic ones. And I will also add, I use filtered water when I rinse mine, because the chlorine in our tap water can sometimes inhibit the growth of your sprouts. Chlorine is an antibiotic or anti-life. And so sometimes it can have a negative effect on how the sprouts are growing. So a simple way to get rid of the chlorine in your tap water is just put it in a jar and let it sit for an hour before you use it to rinse your sprouts.
Right.
So it can be an extra step, but it's worthwhile.
Well, that's really great noting. So I think most people have some kind of filtration system. So something like the Brita water would be sufficient.
That'd be great. Yeah, you just want to dechlorinate. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's just switch gears now and directly correlate sprouts with Chinese medicine.
Yeah. So they're probably the easiest way to think about this. There's two kind of things I want to talk about. So the first one is, and especially during this time, sprouts are very full of nutrition and very nutrient dense. Lots of nutrition is packed in a very tiny package, which is what makes it nutrient dense. And so if we think about what's happening right now in the world, there's all different kinds of stressors. There's emotional stressors, there's mental stressors, there's physical stressors about possibly we can't move as much as we did before. And then if you're experiencing fertility challenges, there's an extra level of stressor on top of that. And so how I like to think about stressors is that they kind of add up. And so if there's one thing that I can do or have control of to mitigate one of those stressors, it helps my body have the energy to deal with all the other ones more effectively. And so that's how I like to use nutrition, is that if I can reassure my system, my physical body, that it's going to get everything it needs with this nutrient dense food, it has more capacity to cope with the physical stressors, then I have more energy to deal with the other kind of stressors that are coming in. So that's kind of why I like sprouts, because they're such a small nutrient dense package, they're easy to get in, and it's very reassuring for my system. So from a Chinese medicine point of view, stress tends to contract and constrict our flow of energy. It tends to move things to our kind of fight or flight response, move things to our eyes and our head so that we can manage, move things to our big muscles, but away from our reproductive system and away from our digestive system. So things tend to get stuck and they tend to go away from where we'd actually really like them to go if we're looking on fertility. And so one of the things that sprouts do is help to move energy, help to build blood, and help to circulate things better. The other way to think about sprouts is that they're this tiny little package of life force potential. And so when we think about where our life force potential is stored in our bodies in Chinese medicine, we call it the kidneys. So the kidneys is kind of our reproductive force too. And so the more that we can use nutrition to boost our vital force and our life force, the more that our kidneys have to offer. And so kind of building up and nourishing, it has a resonance of sort of this small package and our vitality.
Mm-hmm. It's like the compact burst of energy in the sprouts, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I love how you're explaining all this. So that's it. Anything else to add? Oh wait, one last question. I keep on having more questions. So is there such thing as, is there such thing as having too much? As, how much would you want it? For people that are dealing with fertility, they want it like down to the T. It's like, how much do I have? When do I have? Right?
So I think if you were growing your own, so putting a tablespoon of seeds into the jar, this jar will get about half full of sprouts. That'd be a good dose for a week.
Okay.
So
A
you
week.
kind of keep growing them, keep circulating them so you could grow what you need for a week, every week. If you're buying the packaged ones, you have to know that there's been some time from when it was harvested until when it got to you, and then you put it in your fridge and then waited a few days. And so all of those days, in order for the food not to go bad, it's using some of its nutrition to kind of keep itself healthy. So you're losing a little bit that way. So I think certainly you could eat sprouts at every meal. I would say, you know, a handful like this would be a reasonable amount at every meal for sunflower sprouts, because they're bigger, slightly less, maybe 2 tablespoons full of sprouts like alfalfa or broccoli or radish that are a bit smaller. You could certainly have them at every meal. And it's the kind of thing like leafy greens. It's really hard to overdo it. Your body will tend to not allow you to overdo it because it does have a bitter taste and it's a little bit constricting. Your body won't crave it or you won't want it if you are, yeah, because it's a bitter food. So.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's really, really awesome. So I think that will be it for today. And we're going to go ahead and posted it back onto a live after this, but I'm so thrilled that, you know, you've persevered and we're doing this. And I love this post. I love, you know, because I don't actually use much sprouts. And now you've, you know, opened my mind and my heart towards this. Yeah, because, you know, like coming from a Chinese background, it's definitely not in our radar, sprouts, except for bean sprouts. But that we never cook on our own.
Also great.
Yeah, but we don't make it at home, right? Like we just buy it from the grocery store. Like that's culturally, that's what everybody does. So this is a really awesome way to do it. Like I'll show my parents for Pete's sakes, right? So fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, and so now just completely going and pivoting to a whole different thing. Those that are watching are reaching out and saying, when are you going to be back at work? When can I come back in for acupuncture and Chinese medicine? And so here's the deal. We are already doing virtual consultations. Tanya and I both are also doing the acupatching. So that is there already. Now, literally just today, like an hour before we went on, our College of Traditional Chinese Medicine Practitioners and Acupuncturists of Ontario, long mouthful. I think that's what we're called. And they gave notice that we will be basically able to have like a soft start. So things, even though we're deemed non-essential services, because we're under the guidelines as regulated health professionals, so we will be able to start, but so we're going to roll out what we will be doing at Alive in the next couple of days. So watch out for that, and we'll keep you updated and informed. So we'll do like another little live post just to hash out what's happening so that you guys can get back.
Yes, I'm so keen to practice again. This has been really, it'll be really, really nice to see people.
Yeah, I was actually so surprised. I thought we were going to be waiting another month because, you know, secondary to the others. So I'm so thrilled and excited that we'll all be able to be together again. But in the meantime, still go ahead, and we're still doing the virtual consult. So reach out to us anyway. And we shall see you next time, next week. Oh gosh, I didn't even look ahead because I was so excited about the news. It's like, oh, we're able to practice.
Very exciting.
It is very exciting. Oh my gosh.
We didn't get a lot of notice, so we're kind of having to ramp up quick.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. And just, you know, very important for you guys to know that we are going to be following guidelines, and we will do the whole PPE, like the personal protection equipment, and following the guidelines and protocols. So to keep you safe, to keep us safe, so that we can keep going and have you be served. And, you know, let's transform your lives now. That's it. That's it. So yeah, I'm not even sure, we're gonna do like a surprise, like pop up live interview so that we can discuss this, okay, how we're gonna navigate that. And then next Wednesday, June 3rd, I am so super duper thrilled because we're gonna have Yvonne Farrell, who is in the acupuncture and TC Chinese medicine world, and she's been practicing for 2 decades at least. And she's a teacher, professor, like mentor, awesome human.
She's fantastic. I've taken a couple of her courses. Excellent teacher, really knowledgeable. I'm very excited she's coming on.
Yeah, so see, you're gonna have to watch it. And we're talking about the Tao of fertility. And of course, this is and totally coming from the TCM perspective, because I'll have to be honest, we've been a little heavy on the Western science, right? But now it's like, no, let's pivot back. And we're going to talk about fertility coming from an Eastern perspective. And really, that starts from within versus looking out there for all the things that we do, right? We can do it all anyway, but really it's like just consolidating and finding your yin, your female energy to have life come through us. So it's a long conversation, and we're doing a 2-parter. So this will be the first of 2 parts, and we'll see where the conversation leads us. So you can come on in and bring your questions, and it's going to be awesome. So super excited about that. So, and if you haven't done so, please share this post with everybody, anyone you know, because really, I think even beyond fertility, sprouting can be for anyone, for anyone's health. So share,
like for
right?
immune system, for digestive health, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. And so share it, like it, and then we'll also have it on YouTube, so you can share that. That might be easier. That will be on meetmarywong.life. No, I'm lying. It's just Meet Mary Wong. We changed the name. And also, when you hit our Alive page or my YouTube page, which is the Meet Mary Wong, look under the videos. Today is 169. So there's a lot of videos. So anything and everything to do with fertility. So check that out, like it, subscribe. It's all free resources for you. And especially in these crazy times, we can find time to look at them now. So thank you, Tanya. Thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. And let's start sprouting. Have a great day. Okay.